Welcome to the virtual reunion. We are, doing our best to reach out to you at this time, so bear with us, and hopefully you're able to view this. My name is Joe Oliveri, and I've been the Director of Alumni Relations for the past couple years here at Saint Meinrad. It's been a home for me ever since I was a college intern at the One Bread, One Cup conferences over the summers. And for me, Saint Meinrad is a spiritual home and also this place of work that I just get this great opportunity to be a part of. And I'm sure after 91 reunions in person, this 92nd reunion is a little different than the rest, but we hope that you enjoy it. For those whose first reunion this might be, you get a chance to see some of the opportunities we have here. Welcome, and know that going forward, you're welcome to join us for the in-person events as soon as we're able to get to them. But hopefully, we'll have some other opportunities coming up soon. And for those that have been coming for years, we hope that this provides you something that reminds you of the reunions past and of course of the place that you love very much, of Saint Meinrad. And at the same time, you can't be free. So know that this is just a kind gesture from us of this hospitality that you have come to know, especially in the time where we just need each other more than ever. So thanks for being with us. For those that are able to watch right now, you can use the chat, obviously, if you've seen, as a way to field any questions that you might have, but specifically share who you are, like where you're from, your alumni class, and we'd be happy to help you along. If you email alumni@stmeinrad.edu, we can try to talk directly about a specific issue you may be having. As you prepare for tomorrow, be familiar with the talks button on the top of the screen. That'll give you a sense of when the live presentations will be happening tomorrow, so you can kind of be ready for that. Also, want to give a couple of things about the association real quick. Our alumni office puts together twice a year an e-magazine publication called Voices from the Vineyard. And we just put out a new issue, 4 brand new stories by some of Saint Meinrad alumni. And we also have the 5 previous issues as well. If you just go to our Voices page, I will probably put a link of that into the chat, but it's on our Alumni Reunion, our alumni website. And in an effort to stay even more connected than we are right now, we are asking people to take pictures of yourself as you're watching this, as you're looking at the virtual tours. Maybe you holding up Saint Meinrad Premium or any kind of Saint Meinrad alumni things you might have around the house. Email them to us at alumni@stmeinrad.edu, or just share them on social media, and we'll find them. And we hope to reshare that or put that on other publications coming up. Lastly, hope that you've gotten a chance to watch our virtual tours that we have on our website. Make sure to check those out. They're live right now. You don't need a login or anything access to get into them. Just view them, maybe share them with others. So without further ado, we'll keep this going, and I'll pass this along to Chris Carr, who is the president of the Saint Meinrad Alumni Association's board of directors.
Hey,
Chris.
thank you. Hey, Joe, can you tell us how many are online right now? Do you know?
But from what I know, it says about 46 or so.
All right, so 1,000. That's good. Welcome, everybody. I'm kidding. It's good to see everybody. It's good to have you on board here. Strange days we're living in, right? So for me personally, this is day 143 since March 11th, since our office sent everybody home. And, at that same time, we started a dialogue with Joe and with the Saint Meinrad Alumni Office. And, early on, one of our guiding principles was being true to the operating rhythm of the board and ensuring that we remain connected with the Saint Meinrad community. Shortly thereafter, what a joy it was to be able to bring Saint Meinrad into our own homes, right? Through the streaming of the various prayer services and the liturgy. And, that's a first, right? And so I think that, we've all learned a few things during this strange time through, forcing us to learn adaptability, maybe a little bit of courage, certainly innovation, right? And, being here today, bringing the Alumni Reunion, globally, right? It's an opportunity to touch alumni everywhere. And the conversations with the board, with Joe, Christian, Dwayne, in Shana. We wanted to be true to the community and to bring this meeting to you today and these next 2 days. So, my thanks goes to certainly the alumni office, Joe and Christian and Dwayne and Shana. Welcome to the team, and Father Dennis and Father Archabot Kurt, but also to the board. And, without our Vice President, Jared, and the rest of the board, we would not be here today. So my thanks to them. One final comment here, many of us have been home a lot more than perhaps we would like. For me personally, we start a lot of meetings at my company, and I'm on Zoom and Teams calls all day, every day. So this is not new to me, but we tend to start calls with something light. And so for me personally, the magic of Amazon Prime and Netflix and Hulu and things like that, one of the things for me personally that I'll just throw out there is if you haven't seen The Great British Baker, it's fantastic. Give it a go. And so I'll just, before I turn it over to Dennis, I'll just ask, so for you, Father Dennis, we've loved to see Father Archabot Kurt throwing the baseball around with, some of the guys. That's been fun to see. So for you personally, what have you been up to? Have you been streaming, doing something fun that we should know about?
No.
No, nothing.
No, of course I've been doing things that are fun. I have been at home for 141 days, and I can tell you that it's a challenge, but we found ways not only to entertain ourselves here, but also, I hope, to make ourselves a little better through various projects that we've been working on, and also through various cultural activities. We have movie night. We do a few things that are fun like that. We've had some cookouts. So yes, it's been a challenge, but we've also found ways to really make it a good experience as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, go ahead. Take it away.
Well, good. Thank you. As Chris mentioned, this is our 141st day in isolation. This evening, I was at dinner. We have about 20, a little less than 20 people who are still in residence in the seminary right now. And we've been here all summer. So at dinner tonight, I was remarking to one of our staff members. I said, "You don't know this, but we're currently in the middle of an alumni reunion." And he said, "Where are they?" I said, "That's the question." I said, they're everywhere. But we're in the middle of it, and we have found a way to do it through the miracle of technology. And so I want to say first, thanks to Joe and thanks to everybody in the office who have made this such a positive experience in the midst of challenges that all of us certainly have been facing. So what I would like to do this evening is basically offer a little bit of an update and a report on where we have been in the past few months and where we will be going in the next few weeks and months. So that way you can see that life here at Saint Meinrad has definitely changed, but not ended. And here we will find hopefully some at least hints of what I hope the future of Saint Meinrad is also going to be. But let me begin just to give you a little bit of a kind of an update on where we have been and where we have gone in the past few months. Around the middle of March, I was in the Archdiocese of Mobile giving a parish mission with one of our alumni who was the associate pastor there. And there was discussion at that time about what was happening in China and what was happening in other places around the world. And he said to me one day at lunch, he said, "Do you think that we should begin to make arrangements for a different way of doing things, given the fact that it seems like this is not going to abate, but seems to be spreading?" And it was at that time that cruise ships began to arrive in different ports. I came back to Saint Meinrad through the Atlanta airport, and I noticed that a lot of people were masked in a way that you would not have noticed in the past. And I began to think about that as I was getting home. Well, to make a long story short, for which it is already too late, by the time I got home, we had 5 days. And so we began thinking about what we were going to do to respond to the upcoming challenges that the virus was going to be offering. We began monitoring where the virus was in our surrounding area, how many cases. And at that point, there had been almost no cases at all in southern Indiana. But then it began to ramp up. It began to become a little bit more pronounced. And so we were positioned really right in the middle of March to make a pretty drastic decision. And that was that we would suspend our on-campus activity and basically send our seminarians back to their home dioceses. With the caveat that anyone who needed to stay at Saint Meinrad was certainly welcome to stay. And there were rules that we developed very quickly. There were new protocols that we developed very quickly. Our faculty, in a matter of what seemed like hours, was able to put their courses online and get ready for a completely online finish for what was a little bit more at that time than half the semester. In other words, St. Meinrad worked very quickly, very strongly as a team, and we made something happen that at the beginning of the semester, really at the beginning of March, we would never have imagined having to do. And it was successful. It was. Some of our faculty had a bit of a challenge with technology. I had a bit of a challenge with technology, but we made it happen. As I said, a large majority of our seminarians went home. We went back to their dioceses, and they have been working in their dioceses at whatever level that has been possible for the past several months. We had, though, initially 50 seminarians, a little bit less than half of our population, 50 of our seminarians that remained here with us on campus. And the caveat was, if you remained on campus, you could remain as long as you wished, but once you left, you had to leave. And that was for the sake of those who remained here. And so the seminarians, they began leaving until a little bit at a time. They're going back to their dioceses, going back to their homes. Most of our summer programs, such as immersion programs in language, CPE programs, of course, had been canceled. Some actually, although some actually did move forward CPE programs, but most of our seminarians were back in parishes for the summer. So presently, we have around 10 seminarians who have remained with us, and about the same number of staff, priest-staff members who are still here. And that has been a blessing for those who have remained for either a short period or for a long period, just in the sense of having daily prayer, having daily mass, something that most parishes, at least at the beginning, were not having. And so it has been very successful. It has been a very productive summer. We have engaged a lot of activities here on campus, but we've also engaged a lot of fellowship, a lot of prayer, a lot of thinking about not only what we're doing here, but more importantly, what our brothers and sisters are doing out in the world, not our seminarians only, but also those people who are really affected by this. So far, the statistics that I have are that none of our seminarians working in dioceses have contracted the infection. None of their family members have. We've had very few kind of cases that have been reported. We have had a few of our staff members' families who have been affected by the virus, but only very gently, as gentle as it can be. And so I would say Overall, at this point, Saint Meinrad has had very little viral impact in terms of the direct impact to our community. We've been safe, we've been enclosed, but everybody has done a remarkable job, not only of maintaining safety, but also maintaining spirit. And so I'm very proud of what we've been able to accomplish this summer. Now, the question, of course, is what is next? Where are we going from this point? First of all, let me tell you that we will be starting up and welcoming with an orientation our new seminarians in about 2 weeks, really 2 weeks from today. We are expecting a full house for next year. We will have over 120, maybe around 125 seminarians. That is unusual because most seminaries are experiencing a little downturn at this point, but we're doing very well, thankfully. Certainly, we're very happy to be able to welcome those seminarians, the new seminarians who will be joining us. We're going to have a very large first theology class this year, over 30, and that's very substantial. And we have a few new dioceses. We have a few new communities that we'll be welcoming. So all of that is very good. We also know that we're going to be welcoming them into an experience that is not the typical Saint Meinrad experience. And so I want to tell you a little bit about what life is going to be like when we begin. First of all, we did a fairly thorough as we could, study about in the middle of June toward the 1st of July of what other seminaries in the United States are going to be doing. And we found at that time that they really run the gamut. Some were going to be opening basically as usual, which I found odd. Some have some very strict and severe things that include, for example, there's one seminary down in a place I won't mention in Miami, where if you go out or have to go on a doctor's appointment, when you come back from the doctor's appointment, your car is met in the parking lot with a sanitation team that sprays you down, sprays the car down, takes you up. You have to strip off all of your clothes and get into a sanitizing shower. I said, Lord have mercy, I think I'd rather have the illness than face the doctor's appointment with those conditions. But that's another side of what we're seeing. What we also discovered is about half of the seminaries that we looked at did not have a startup plan. They did not know what they were going to be doing, but all of them indicated that they were going to be opening as usual for the fall. So, as you know, we are also going to be opening, but there will be some conditions for our opening. And so I'd like to walk through a few of those. I'm not going to go through everything because we have a 20-page reopening document. If anybody would like to see that document, which I would absolutely not recommend, you might send me a little email and I'd be glad to send it your way. But it just outlines the plan as it stood around the middle of July as to how we're going to engage almost every aspect of life here at Saint Meinrad. Let me give you a little bit of a rundown on what that document contains. First of all, we will be masked. We will be all of us wearing masks, seminarians and staff alike. We will also be social distancing. We will be setting up in our chapel. We're going to have 2 chapels in the fall. We're going to be worshiping in the usual, in the Theology chapel, the St. Thomas Aquinas chapel, which is now set up for social distancing, for seating, a complete arrangement. But we will also be worshiping in the gallery, that space that many of you know that's kind of in the middle between St. Anselm and St. Gregory Halls. It's that middle building. A lovely room, a very large room, and it has also been set up as a chapel. Father Julian has put together a wonderful, beautiful space for worship. And my caveat for that was I want it to be top of the line. I wanted them to feel, those that will be worshiping there, that they're not worshiping in a second-rate place or a second-rate chapel. So there will be morning and evening prayer in both spaces. There will be adoration and compline on Sundays in both spaces. There will be Mass every day in both spaces. And we've arranged the music. We've arranged, the way the liturgical schedule will be set out. The presider and the priest will bounce back and forth between the two chapels by week. So in other words, I'm in one chapel one week and the other chapel the next week and then back. The seminarians are divided alphabetically, with one half in St. Thomas Aquinas, one half in the gallery, which we have named temporarily the St. Theodore Guerin Oratory. And then they will split at the middle of the semester. So they will then switch chapels. So everybody is worshiping sometime during the semester in both spaces. Likewise, we'll be using two dining rooms, the Newman dining room and the St. Anselm dining room. Both have been set up with distancing, spacing. We have protocols in place also for the dining experience. Likewise, classrooms, we have identified those classrooms where we can spread people out. There's distancing available. And again, professors and seminarians will be masked. Some of our teaching will be online. Some of our professors, though not as many as we might imagine, do want to teach online simply because they may live in conditions that are a little different. For example, their families may have different scenarios. So they have the option completely available to them to also teach completely online. And so they can do that. And we have every classroom, every space now set up for that technological kind of protocol. The classrooms, we will end our on-campus semester with the Thanksgiving break. Tuesday before Thanksgiving will be the last day for classes. Students can go home for Thanksgiving, and then they will not return to campus after Thanksgiving. However, if they need to remain, as is always the case, they would be allowed to do so as long as they needed to. And some of them, it will be perhaps longer than others. We have set in place some possible protocols for the spring, but I think all of us know that we're really in a wait and see mode as to how things are going to develop. In terms of our other programs in the School of Theology, I can give you a little bit of an understanding of where we are. We have suspended the welcoming of groups and guests from now until the end of December. We will revisit this question again at the end of November. But in point of fact, many of our groups who had scheduled time to be here at Saint Meinrad for one reason or another have canceled already, simply because of the conditions and situations that they are in. So it's quiet in St. Bede Hall and in the guest house, very quiet. Of course, our One Bread, One Cup program did not meet. This was the 25th anniversary of that program. They did not meet this summer. They are planning online activities, some of which have already begun. So One Bread, One Cup will have some programming, but it will not be the traditional programming that we have seen in the past. Likewise, our graduate degree program, they will not have on-campus courses for the fall, just as they did not for the summer. They will be holding completely online courses. We still have very good enrollment for the courses, however, and part of that has to do with the fact that for the past several years, we have been increasing our online presence for the graduate program. So many of them are already more or less accustomed to taking online courses. The Institute for Priests and Presbyterates likewise has had to cancel all of its programming at this point. Father Julian has very little to do. On a very somber note, for those who know a lot about the Institute for Priests and Presbyterates, I would just like to inform everyone that Leanne Olinger, she's worked for that program since the beginning as the administrative assistant. She had a severe stroke yesterday and is hospitalized in Jasper. I think they may be moving her to Indianapolis. So please keep her in your prayers, and Father Julian. IPP will not, of course, be having any programs during the fall. Our deacon programs have continued to be very successful, actually. And of course, a lot of that has to do with the fact that they do not take place here. They are taking places in dioceses, and the different protocols in dioceses are governing how those programs have been delivered, not only in the summer months, but also as we move to the fall formation season. What are we expecting? Well, we're expecting to have a house full of folks here in the next couple of weeks. We're expecting a pretty strict lockdown, not a total lockdown in the sense that people can't get out, but there will be no long weekends. There will be no times away. There will be no home visits. People will be able to safely go out for shopping at Walmart, to go through a drive-through, for example, at local restaurants. But for the most part, our task is to keep people as safe as we can. And I do not live in the fool's paradise of thinking that's going to be an easy task for a group of over 120 somethings. But nevertheless, it is a challenge I am willing to undertake. What are we expecting? We are hoping that in the very near future, we will be seeing a vaccine that will enable us to begin to move back to our normal activities. What that looks like, I do not know. I can tell you this, I gave a little bit of a talk online last week, and I talk about one of the things that we're really experiencing a lot of in this period of lockdown is what we call kind of doom scrolling, finding the most negative stories about what's going on and really kind of honing in on those. So much of us we've become inundated in news and trying to read everything we can. And of course, you're going to find everything that just runs the gamut. And so I think it's good for us to be informed. I don't know that it's good for us to spend most of our day looking for the latest news on the virus. What are we expecting? Well, hopefully a vaccine. But we are expecting that we're going to be able to do what we do. What are we committed to? When we talk about Saint Meinrad, we've been through a lot in the past 150 plus years. What we're committed to is providing, first of all, good leadership in a time of crisis. And that's one thing that we're sometimes lacking a little bit. We can be a little bit lacking in the leadership that we have. And that's across the board, whether we're talking about the political, the church, whatever we're talking about. What we need to be able to provide for seminarians and for our other students at this time is positive and good leader role models that they will be able then to take into their own places, not only now, but in the future. So in other words, providing good leadership in a time of crisis is something I know, that we are well prepared to offer here at Saint Meinrad. But also, I think one of the things I keep reiterating with the seminarians, and I have a weekly communication with them that I send to everyone. One of the things I think we have to be committed to is serving the church in spite of the obstacles that are there. We cannot be a fearful people. We can be a cautious people, but we cannot be a fearful people. We cannot be a people who refuse to accept the responsibility for spreading the gospel, which is not only not changed in the face of this kind of health crisis, it has heightened. in this time of health crisis. We need to be more prepared than ever to offer a faithful and true gospel witness for the people that we serve. And that's us here at Saint Meinrad. It's also the seminarians, the graduate students, the deacons, all the ministers that we're preparing for service in the life of the church. So that gives you a little bit of a background on where we've been, where we hope to go. And the thing I want to plead with you most of all is your prayers for us. We're willing and we're able to carry on, but we're not able to do that without your prayers and without your support. And so I want to thank you for the support that you've given. I've received many emails, many texts, many letters from bishops, from alumni, and I will tell you, every one of those is very much appreciated. It is a very difficult task for us, for the staff, for me, to continue to try and push forward in this time. And so I thank you for all that you've been doing and all that you will be doing in supporting Saint Meinrad, even from a distance.
Thank you, Father Denis. Chris, from the Alumni Association part of things, do you have anything to add, or the workings of the association?
Yeah, first of all, just thank you, Father Denis. That was really extraordinary. I had a couple of questions queued up in my own mind that I wanted to ask you, and candidly, you answered all of them. Leadership in a time of crisis. One question I was going to ask you about how your thoughts have evolved, and I think you answered that, and I appreciate that. And then, being faithful and true to the gospel, it's hard, right? It's hard, and having people like you, help prepare the church for the future gives us hope. And thank you to you and to your staff for that. So thank you. One question I would ask is, it's been a joy to witness these coming from with the monastic community. Any consideration time to time doing it in the school as well?
It's what?
Any consideration for streaming either morning prayer or evening prayer or the liturgy with the school at any point?
We have considered it, and in fact, we've done that in the past. We've had homilies that were daily streamed. We have been talking about that. What we don't want is to, have too much, kind of conflict, because again, we're going to have two chapels, we're going to have two scenarios, so we're going to put 2 homilies a day on the. So there's a discussion about it. We'll see how it comes out. But I think the monastery has done a very good job of presenting the daily liturgy, and they will continue to do so.
Kudos to you. Thank you for that. Joe, it does look like there's some questions in the window.
Yes.
Just to clarify, Father Denis, really all non-Saint Meinrad activities, from retreats to visits to everything through the end of the calendar year, are in effect canceled, correct? And then you'll take another look later in the year?
That's right. We would obviously, if there is a major turnaround between now and the end of the year, we would make some adjustments. But for the most part, we are concentrating on the seminary program on campus, our other programs basically online, and that's the key. That's the understanding of it, and so we'll make that happen.
Would it be? Yeah, perfect. Would it also be a fair assessment, just given how quickly you reacted to COVID this past academic year, that should things change, either the School of Theology would go into full isolation or go fully virtual again? So it sounds like those plans are pretty well fully baked, correct?
Right. Yes, we have Plan B. If we have to close down, we know how to do that, and we know how to make it happen. And we are well placed in terms of being able to deliver at least the academic portion of our program, as well as some other formational programs if we have to do that from a distance. So yes, we're able to say it was amazing when in March, again, without a lot of thought that necessarily went into it, we were able to close down. In the morning, I met with the entire student body and the staff and the faculty. I announced our plan. That evening, we had a huge banquet and presentations to our deacons. So the president's dinner took place. it all happened in one day. So, and that was with
Yeah.
no advanced thought. So I think here we're in great shape if we have to move to a different plan.
Yeah, well, that makes us proud as not only for the board, but for the broader alumni community. So thank you. Joe, I'll turn it back over to you.
Great. Father Denis, we just have a few follow-up questions to some of those items that you brought up. And thanks, Chris, for following up a little bit more to it. There's a question kind of about any regular testing that will be done on campus. Is that part of the plan?
Yes, that is part of the plan, and we'll begin we have an entire kind of protocol for testing that is taking place. Our external persons, that is the people who come to work every day, will have temperature checks and that sort of thing. And then we will have the opportunity for additional testing if we feel that it is necessary. But I think what we're really aiming for is a fairly enclosed community, which kind of they won't be coming and going a lot. I say that's a blessing that we're able to kind of engage that kind of a life when most of our staff and faculty members, they have to interact with the world. But I think we're in a very good position to be able to take care of any of those things. There is a testing protocol, obviously, before people arrive. There are two testing protocols, actually. One if you're at home, and another, and if you're driving to Saint Meinrad, there's another if you're flying to Saint Meinrad. So there are many protocols already in place, and we'll see how well that serves us in the coming months.
Great. And that answered, I think, a couple other questions that might have come through. And is there any, speaking of like liturgy and the singing that happens, again, we'll be spacing the students out. Will there be any type of precautions for the singing? Because I think people belong to parishes where either there's restrictions of singing or there's mass for those that are singing out in public. Is that a precaution as well?
We will have everybody's masked basically all the time. They will wear masks even to bed. So that's required. So everybody's pretty much masked all of the time. We will have, though, because of the kind of enclosed nature of the community, we're not like a parish where people are coming from the four winds to come to church. We're all in here together every single day. We will not have scola next year, but we will have individual cantors. We will have some limited congregational singing, and we have kind of redesigned some of our usual protocols for that. But we will have, obviously, chanted morning prayer, chanted evening prayer, and other singing in terms of the Mass. So, yes.
Great. Last maybe a minute or two, if anyone has any more questions, you can populate them in the chat to the right. Again, probably Denis on any of the updates of Saint Meinrad, and Chris or I, particularly about alumni happenings. We can give a little update about how the alumni and friends dinners that those might be usually invited to in the fall are being kind of strictly watched. Most have been canceled. The ones that are still farther away, still taking an approach to look into that. But likely with how the virus is going, we'll kind of see what happens. But we are trying to make the best out of it and send people at least some videos and ways that they can connect to Saint Meinrad in the time being.
I see that there are a few questions in the little sidebar here that let me try to just address a couple of those, because
Go ahead.
First of all, COVID testing is available in our area, and seminarians who are driving to St. Meinrad will be tested at their home and quarantined when they have the results. And when they get the results, they will come directly to St. Meinrad. But we will have testing available. It's available here. We have now about a 4-day wait period. So that's kind of where we are in terms of that, but it is available. They will, when they arrive, if they have testing at home, have to come with their documentation, and they have to wear it on their forehead for the first 3 days, so that we know that they're nicely prepared. So.
I think we had a recent question about the Benedictine Arts Initiative that people have been hearing about that you brought forward around time last year. Is there any updates on that?
Yes, we have been putting together our design team for the final kind of vision for Benedictine Arts. Some of that has been curtailed a little by the fact that we're not able to get together. We have been waiting for the return of Brother John Glassnap, who just finished his doctorate at Columbia in musicology. So he is back just yesterday. And so that development will be proceeding and moving forward in the next month or so. So we're going to, there's a lot of positive energy around that, and we'll be moving forward with it.
Great. I had a question here about the Arch Abbey Church being off limits to the seminarians as well. I guess you can consider these multiple areas where you have the monastic community, you have the seminary community, and then you have the rest of campus. Is that going to be off limits as well?
Yes.
Continue to be.
The monastery and the seminary are completely separate. We monks who live in the seminary have had no contact with the monastery for the entire summer. It will continue to be that way, and I think it's a very good decision because there are a lot of more vulnerable people in the monastery than there are really in some ways on our side. So that will continue, and it will be a kind of a part of our life, unfortunately, until we're able to make some other arrangements in the near future.
It seems like we have like a last question here about that plan B. Things get worse or something gets brought in. Is there a certain metric, or is obviously there's a thing where if there seems to be a spread, that's kind of it, and start plan B. But are you all taking anything into account right now to share with the alumni?
We're carefully monitoring our area, and Indiana has grown a bit in the past few weeks, as we know. Our area has grown, but not substantially. And so we continue just to watch the numbers very carefully, not only here, but also in the dioceses that we're serving. Obviously, they're coming from different places. But we would certainly, we know what we're supposed to do internally if someone should test positive for COVID. We know what we're going to do internally, and we would know what to do if we had to, again, kind of interrupt the formation semester. We know what that protocol is.
Great. Now, from either you, Father Denis or Chris, do you have any final words as we wrap up and end for the rest of the night?
Yeah, just for me personally, thank you to everybody that joined. Really inspiring to see so many out there joining this meeting. And Father Denis, to you, to Joe, the entire development office, and to the board, thank you all for your hard work. As I indicated at the top of the meeting, we remain true to our own operating rhythm, much as Father Denis and the school community has remained true to the academic and social and religious formation. So the board will meet again in October, and odds are it will be virtual, but we're here to continue to serve this broader alumni community. So thank you.
And thank you all for, again, for your prayers and your support for your alma mater. We're not going to stop. We're going to make sure that we continue not only to serve our students, but to serve you the best way we can as we move forward.
Well, thank you both for joining us for this association meeting. Again, way different than anyone we've ever had before. And obviously having to talk about some topics we never thought we'd have to talk about. But like you both said, just taking the challenge head on, doing what's best for the communities, the seminarians, and our alumni community. I'm sure you all wanted to be on campus as soon as possible, but we know that we'll take the right steps. We'll do the best we can, and then for this next association meeting, for the next reunion, we hope to be in person. So I just want to give some last kind of comments about tomorrow. We have a lot of live presentations. It's kind of a big presentation day. So again, check the talks tab and see what's going to be coming up for Sunday, for tomorrow. Father Dennis is going to be, I think, leading it off in the afternoon. Then we have the keynote with Steve Angersano, who is a recent graduate, longtime supporter, and been very involved with Saint Meinrad, the One Bread One Cup program and conferences. So be on the lookout for that. If you have any questions at all, please email alumni@stmeinrad.edu. We'll take care of you in the best way that we can in these browser issues and reloading and how do I log in. We're doing our very best. We have some great tech support also for this platform, which we're grateful for. Kind of came in the nick of time as we were trying to plan a virtual reunion. There's so many different options, and we're just glad that we found someone to work with and make this possible. So again, reach out to us if you need anything, but for that we'll end. And thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully.